All right, everybody, just wanted to talk a little bit more about intaking wash and fold orders. We've talked about the tickets already where you write them down, you write their name, their phone number, the date they're dropping it off, and all that kind of stuff. And then we give them the white ticket. They take that with them, or the front part, the very first part of the ticket, and we keep the back end of the ticket and we write down all of our other stuff on it. And so just wanted to talk a little bit more about that process and what we do for all of that. So this part of the video is another part of the intake process. At all of our locations, we use these notebooks that help us to track what our expenses are for each month when it comes to wash and fold. And so this is really important. We cannot forget writing this in. I mean, when you're doing wash and fold orders, this has to be written down in here. I mean, you cannot miss this. I mean, this is a very, very big, very important part of the whole process, especially on the back end when we're doing year-end books and month-end books and things like that. And so one little aspect I'm going to start talking to you about here is just all the different places that we're going to be writing down and tracking the wash and fold order from start to finish, okay? So if our camera person could come up, we're going to kind of close in and I'm going to show you a couple examples of what I'm talking about here. So these notebooks, there'll be a notebook that's specifically titled for wash and fold orders and stuff that are at each location, and they're going to have all of this information here, okay? Now, it's really important that these books are filled out in this way. This is going to go for customer and commercial orders, okay? Now, Martha's going to continue to just field commercial, most likely, on her shifts. So if there's any commercial clients, just make sure that you're letting Martha know that you got some more commercial people that are showing up and wanting to do stuff. If this is customer stuff, though, then everybody's all game for that. It's just making sure whoever's on shift is getting stuff done. Okay, so let's say that we're taking in new orders, right? So what we're going to be doing is after we've given the ticket and that whole thing's done, we're going to write the ticket number here and then the customer's name. And now for ticket 743, because remember, we only do the back 3 digits of every ticket. So this back 3 was 743. Billy Bob dropped it off, and it's just clothes. We're going to say the drop-off date's today, and then he wants to pick it up tomorrow, okay? Now, if you see an order in here that is written down like this, and there's no price and no initials, that means that it has not been completed yet. The price and the initials are only written down once the order has been fully washed, dried, and folded and completed, if that makes sense. And that's because it's something that is easy for all the other employees to come in and check and say, okay, looks like this order's done. Looks like this order's done. Oh, this order's not done because it's not priced out and it's not initialed yet. And so if you don't see the price in the initial, be checking around and be looking for bags that are not folded or not done completely. And so you're going to want to be making sure that you're checking and looking through those clear plastic bags to make sure that everything's being folded exactly the way it should be and that everything is folded, period. Okay, and then another example. Let's say we had another ticket and it's 744 and this guy's name is Thomas and he dropped off a comforter. So we're just going to write that, and then drop-off date was today. He's wanting to pick it up, though, on the 2nd, so on Friday, right? And so now, let's say that I was during my shift, and I was doing these orders. And so another thing that I would do, too, now imagine that this is the back of the ticket. Now, as you're doing each ticket, we like to make sure that we write down what washer and what dryer are being used on the ticket at the time. So let's imagine that this is the 743 ticket, okay? I'm doing Billy Bob's order. Now, when I put it in a washer, I'm going to write down what washer it is, right? So if I'm at Belmont, just for example, I'm going to write down that I put it in washer 11 to wash, okay? And remember, we're always washing everything on the cold water setting only. Cold water setting only on all wash and folds. And for all wash and folds, we're only using the Charlie soap non-scented stuff, okay? And then after it's washed, then I'm going to throw it in the dryer, and I'm going to be bringing some free and clear dryer sheets with me tomorrow. And so we're always only going to use free and clear dryer sheets. And then I'm going to mark what dryer it was in. And so let's just say that it was in dryer, and we'll just do a big old dash, dryer O at Belmont. And so that's how we're going to track which machines were used on each order, okay? And then now that that's all done and I've folded Billy Bob's order, I'm going to weigh it on the scale. and we've got all those rates there, but I'm just going to throw a wonky number. Let's just say it's $35.64. Okay, then I've priced it out. I'm going to initial it. Okay, now that's communicated to everybody that this order, $7.43 for Billy Bob, is all done. It's been priced out. It's been initialed. We can clearly see that the bag's been folded, and it's all good to go. One other place that we're going to write that to. Pause for, or not, don't pause the video, obviously. But so let's say that this order was being completed on shift and I'm doing my till sheet, right? Now, this says Hawthorne, but it doesn't really matter for the sake of the video. The other area that we're going to be writing all these on is that we're going to take the ticket number again, 743, washer amount, which I can't remember the cold price off the top of my head for what washer 11 is at Belmont, but let's just say that it's $9 or something like that. And then the dryer amount, usually you're going to want to stay between 75 cents and $1 for most orders, and then just try to do a quarter at a time after that if it's not dry enough. So let's just say it took $1 to dry, right? And so that's how you'd write that order down on this sheet. And so when you're doing fluff and fold orders, you want to make sure you're, depending on who's working at the time and what till sheet you're doing, that you're writing them down on the till sheet as well as the binder, because both of these track exactly what we're doing when it comes to expenses here and then year-end reports here on what we profited, or not profited, excuse me, but what each order was sold at, if that makes sense, not profited. And so basically this is the expense, and so trying to take that away from here and then go from there. So that's how everything works there when it comes to intaking orders and things. And like I said, again, it's going to be really important to make sure that you're keeping the tags, the tickets, with items all the way through. And you really want to make sure that you're writing down and even putting in the duty logbook too about orders that you weren't able to complete or orders that need a specific thing. So like if you're only able to wash something and you're leaving as another employee's coming in, make sure you're detailing to them, hey, I've got an order finishing, it's the end of my shift, I'm heading out and it needs to go in the dryer and be folded, right? Or if there's a separation of time between two people, I wouldn't leave stuff in machines because other people could grab them and things like that. And so what you're going to want to do is at the end of your shift, if there are some orders that need to be done, maybe take note of that and write a little message for in the duty logbook for somebody tomorrow that says, hey, there's a couple orders that need to be done, things like that. And so that's super important to do because it's this system really kind of works when there's a lot of communication. So make sure you're communicating with each other. Make sure you're communicating with everybody about what needs to be done and what hasn't been done yet and what's done. And so that way everything is all hunky-dory and peachy keen for our customers, and that we have everything done and completed for them and filled out. And so, like I said, you're going to want to make sure that whenever you're doing washable items, you're entering it on your till sheet and on this binder, okay? Those are super important. You cannot forget those because it's something that allows us as management, because we need this information to figure out what our expenses are and what the prices were that were these fluff and fold orders were sold at, okay? It's massively important, so please don't forget that. And that's it for this one. Thank you very much, and please watch the other videos.